The crystal spires of Nexus Prime gleamed like jewels against the purple sky. Inside the Great Council chamber, representatives from across the galaxy gathered for their monthly celebration of peace. Ambassador Kira of the Villani stood at the central podium, her blue skin shimmering with pride. "Fellow beings," she announced, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast hall. "Today marks exactly 10,000 years since the last act of violence in our galaxy, 10,000 years of perfect harmony." The assembled delegates erupted in gentle applause. The massive brutax, once feared warriors, now clapped with hands that knew only farming tools. The small greylings, their gray skin marked with peaceful tattoos, hummed their approval in unison. Even the proud Leonids with their golden manes bowed their heads in respectful agreement. Council leader Thane rose from his throne-like chair. His ancient species, the Eternals, had lived through the dark times before peace. His weathered face showed the wisdom of centuries. "Citizens of the galaxy," Thane's voice resonated with authority. "In 3 months, we will hold the grand celebration of eternal peace. Representatives from all 1,000 worlds will gather here to mark our greatest achievement, a galaxy without war." Young beings in the audience had never heard the word war spoken seriously. To them it was just a concept from old stories, like dragons or magic. Violence belonged to the past, buried so deep that most had forgotten it ever existed. The session continued with reports of prosperity. Trade routes flowed freely between star systems. The brutax shared their agricultural advances with former enemies. The greylings built hospitals and schools instead of weapons. Knowledge and resources moved, without fear or suspicion. "We have proven that all species can live in harmony," Kira concluded her speech. "We are the example that future generations will follow. Nothing in this universe could disturb our perfect peace." The delegates agreed completely. They had built paradise through cooperation and understanding. Every species had found its role in the great system. Every world contributed to the common good. The galaxy had truly evolved beyond its violent past. As the session ended, beings from 100 different worlds mingled peacefully in the great halls. Children of different species played together. Former enemies shared meals and stories. The dream of eternal peace seemed unshakable. But far beyond the outer rim of their perfect galaxy, something was moving through the darkness of space. The first warning came at dawn on Nexus Prime. Deep space sensors across the galaxy screamed alerts that hadn't sounded in centuries. Something massive was approaching the outer rim, something larger than any ship in the Council's peaceful fleet. Captain Rex of the Galactic Patrol rushed to his command center. His Leonid heritage gave him sharp eyes that quickly read the impossible. Data. The approaching vessel measured over 2 kilometers long. Its energy signature showed weapons that violated every treaty in the galaxy. "This cannot be correct," Rex muttered, his golden mane bristling with confusion. "No one builds ships like this anymore." His communications officer, a nervous greyling, named Pip, looked up from his console. "Sir, the vessel is not responding to our identification requests. It just keeps coming." Rex activated the emergency channel to the Council. "This is Patrol Captain Rex. We have an unknown vessel approaching Council space. The ship appears to be armed." The word "armed" sent shockwaves through the peaceful command structure. No one had used weapons in 10,000 years. The concept seemed impossible. Rex tried direct communication. "Unknown vessel, you are entering Galactic Council space. Please identify yourself and state your peaceful intentions." Static filled the channel for long moments. Then a rough voice responded, in broken Galactic Standard. The accent was strange, harsh compared to the refined speech of civilized beings. "This is Captain Blake of the Earth ship Retribution. We are humans from the Sol system. We received your peace treaty invitation 50 years ago." The bridge fell, silent. Rex checked his database frantically. No species called humans existed in Council records. No star system called Sol appeared on any map. The galaxy contained no unknown civilizations. The Council had catalogued every world centuries. Unknown vessel, Rex tried again. There must be some mistake. The Council has no record of your species or your system. Captain Blake's laugh came through the speakers like grinding metal. No record? That's interesting, considering you sent us a formal invitation to join your little peace club. We've been traveling for 50 years to get here. The human ship continued deeper into Council space. Every peaceful vessel that approached received the same treatment. Weapon systems locked onto them until they backed away. The massive ship's guns tracked every movement with predatory precision. On Nexus Prime, emergency sessions began immediately. Council Leader Thane called together his advisors, their faces showing confusion and growing fear. "How is this possible?" demanded Ambassador Kira. "We know every species in the galaxy. We have perfect records." "Apparently," Thane said quietly, "our records are not as perfect as we believed." Council Leader Thane ordered an immediate deep search of the archives. If these humans claimed to have received an invitation, there had to be some record of it. Archivist Dana, an elderly eternal like Thane, descended into the deepest data vaults beneath Nexus Prime. The ancient storage systems held the complete history of galactic civilization. Dana searched through layer after layer of data, going back through centuries of peaceful records. The deeper she went, the older the files became, and the more restricted the access codes. Finally, in a vault that required Thane's personal authorization, Dana found files that made her blood run cold. The truth was worse than anyone had imagined. The galaxy had not always been peaceful. Before the Great Harmony, a terrible war had raged for thousands of years. Entire species had fought brutal battles that left whole star systems as graveyards. Billions died in conflicts so savage that planets still bore the scars. But the war had ended not through treaties or understanding. It had ended through systematic extermination. The files revealed the Council's darkest secret. To create their perfect peace, they had systematically hunted down and destroyed every warlike species in the galaxy. Any race that refused to surrender their weapons, any culture that valued strength over submission, any people who might challenge the new order, all were marked for extinction. The peaceful galaxy was built on bones. Dana's hands trembled as she read the lists. Hundreds of species, entire civilizations wiped from existence. The Council had rewritten history, deleted records, and created a false narrative of natural evolution toward peace. And there, buried in the files, was a single entry about a distant system called Sol. The Council had sent an invitation to the third planet, expecting to find another weak species to absorb or eliminate. But the message had taken 50 years to reach Earth, and 50 more years for the response to arrive. In that time, the humans had prepared for war. Dana ran to the Council chamber, her ancient legs carrying her faster than they had moved in decades. She burst into the emergency session, her face pale with horror. "Thane," she gasped. "We have to tell them. We have to tell everyone the truth." Council Leader Thane looked at the files Dana handed him. His eternal composure cracked as he read the records of genocide hidden behind peaceful lies. "If this information gets out," whispered Ambassador Kira, "the entire galaxy will know what we did." "The entire galaxy deserves to know," Dana replied firmly. "We built our peace on murder." Outside the Council chambers, Captain Blake's ship continued its approach to Nexus Prime, carrying with it the judgment of species that refused to surrender their strength. Council Leader Thane made one last attempt at diplomacy. He opened a direct channel to the human warship, his voice carrying the authority of 10,000 years of peace. "Captain Blake, I am Thane of the Galactic Council. We can resolve this situation peacefully. Your species can find a place in our harmonious society. All we ask is that you surrender your weapons and join our system of cooperation." The response came quickly, filled with bitter laughter. "Surrender our weapons? Just like all the others did? We know what happened to species that trusted your peace, Thane." The words hit the Council like a physical blow. The humans knew. Somehow, they had learned the truth about the galaxy's bloody foundation. "We studied your real history during our long journey," Blake continued. "We know about the warrior kings of Altair, wiped out for refusing to become farmers. We know about the battle clans of Rigel, hunted to extinction for keeping their fighting traditions. We know about every proud species you murdered to build your sheep pen. The human warship began active scans of Council defenses. The results were even worse than expected. The peaceful species had no military left. Their weapons had been destroyed generations ago. The Brutax remembered how to fight, but their warrior traditions were centuries old and largely forgotten. The Greylings tried frantically to design new defense systems, but minds accustomed to peace worked slowly under pressure. Panic spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Citizens who had never seen conflict didn't understand what was happening. Emergency broadcasts tried to maintain calm, but fear grew with each passing hour. Some council members suggested immediate surrender. Others demanded they somehow fight back. But fight with what? They had built their perfect society by eliminating anyone who might threaten it. Now they faced exactly what they had tried to prevent, a species that chose strength over submission. The Yao. Brutal leader Grok tried to rally his people's forgotten warrior heritage. "We were fighters once," he growled to his council. "Our ancestors knew battle. But centuries of farming had weakened more than their bodies. It had weakened their spirits." Young Brutax looked at weapons with fear instead of pride. The very concept of violence seemed alien to beings raised in perfect peace. The dream of eternal harmony crumbled as the galaxy realized a terrible truth. They were helpless against anyone who refused to play by their rules. Their peace had made them weak, and their weakness had made them vulnerable. The illusion of strength through unity shattered completely when faced with real strength that stood alone. Captain Blake's final message to the galaxy came through hijacked communication networks reaching every world simultaneously. His scarred face appeared on screens across 1,000 star systems, his eyes hard with the knowledge of what the Council had hidden. "Citizens of the galaxy," he began, his voice cutting through the static like a blade. "For 10,000 years, you have lived a lie. Your leaders told you that peace came naturally, that your species evolved beyond violence. But evolution doesn't work that way." The human captain gestured to data streams flowing behind him, the hidden files that Dana had discovered now broadcast for all to see. "Your peace was built on the graves of the brave. Every species that valued honor over comfort, strength over safety, freedom over control, they were murdered by your council. You didn't evolve beyond war. You simply killed everyone who might fight back." The broadcasts showed the real history, the systematic extermination, the rewritten records, the false narrative of natural harmony. Across the galaxy, beings stared in horror at the truth of their perfect world. The human warship didn't attack civilian targets. Blake was methodical, surgical in his destruction. He targeted only Council military bases and government centers, dismantling the structure that had enforced false peace for millennia. "True peace," Blake continued as his ship's guns silenced another Council fortress, "doesn't come from weakness. It comes from strength that chooses mercy. It comes from warriors who could fight but decide not to. You have no peace. You have only the absence of anyone brave enough to challenge you." Reactions varied across the galaxy. Some species felt horror at learning the truth about their history. Others felt rage at being deceived for so long. But a few, particularly among the younger generations, felt something their ancestors had forgotten, the desire to be strong again. On Brutak worlds, young warriors began remembering old stories their grandparents had whispered in secret. On Greyling colonies, engineers started designing things other than hospitals and schools. Even among the peaceful Villani, some began asking why strength had to mean violence, and why peace had to mean helplessness. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of false harmony was ending, whether beings wanted it to or not. Species now faced a choice that had been denied to them for centuries: remain sheep in a broken system, or learn to stand strong like the humans. Humanity's arrival didn't just end the dream. It forced the galaxy to wake up. As Captain Blake's ship departed for the Outer Rim, its mission complete, he left behind something more valuable than the peace he had shattered. He left behind the possibility of strength, the memory of courage, and the knowledge that true harmony could only exist among equals who chose cooperation over conquest. The galaxy lived in harmony no more. But for the first time in 10,000 years, it had the chance to live with dignity.